She said, "If you cannot handle my world, go home," in front of her influencer friends on a sponsored trip to Maui. So, I did. I packed my bag at 4 in the morning and caught the first flight back to San Diego while she was still asleep. That was 6 weeks ago, and I am watching my ex-girlfriend's entire career collapse in real time because of what happened next. My name is Eli. I am 34. Until 2 months ago, I was in a 3-year relationship with Natalie, a travel influencer with 400,000 followers. I am a photographer. For the first year and a half, things felt real. We traveled together, created content, supported each other. It felt like a partnership. Then something shifted. I started feeling less like her boyfriend and more like unpaid staff. She would reshoot the same sunset 12 times until the light hit her face perfectly. If I suggested we skip a photo op to actually enjoy a moment, she would get cold. When we were not working on content, she barely looked at me. When I brought it up, she said I was being dramatic. The Maui trip was supposed to be a reset, a luxury press trip sponsored by a big travel company. 6 influencers invited, plus partners. Day 1 was standard influencer content. Day 2 is when everything unraveled. We went to a private beach for a sunrise shoot. The brand hired a PR coordinator named Chase to manage the group. Mid-20s, introduces himself with his Instagram handle. As the day went on, he focused more attention on Natalie, complimenting her poses, standing too close. I was sitting under a palm tree around noon, editing the morning footage on my laptop when I heard Natalie laugh really loud. That specific laugh she does when she wants everyone to know she is having fun. I looked up and saw her and Chase standing by the water. He was holding a bottle of sunscreen. The way he was standing, leaning in close, the way she was tilting her head up at him, something in my chest tightened. Then she yelled loud enough for the whole group to hear, "Hey Chase, can you help me with this? Eli gets so weird about sunscreen stuff." A few people laughed. I did not react. I just kept looking at my screen, trying to process what just happened, trying to figure out if this was just innocent teasing or something deeper. Then she turned toward me, this smirk on her face like she was testing me, and said even louder, "Babe, if you are jealous, just go home." The group went silent for a second. Then someone giggled nervously. Chase kind of grinned and looked away, like he was uncomfortable, but also enjoying it. I felt every pair of eyes on the beach turn toward me, waiting to see how I would react, waiting to see if I would make a scene, get angry, prove her point that I was insecure and jealous. I closed my laptop, stood up, grabbed my towel, and walked past her without saying anything. She called after me something like, "Oh my God, I'm kidding." But her tone had that edge to it, that defensiveness that comes when someone knows they crossed a line but does not want to admit it. I just kept walking back toward the resort. I spent that afternoon sitting alone in the hotel room staring at the wall. My phone buzzed a few times, messages from Natalie in the group chat, probably explaining away my absence. I did not look. I just sat there replaying the moment over and over. The way she said it, the way everyone laughed, the way I felt in that moment, small, disposable, like a punchline. Natalie came back around 6, annoyed that I had missed the afternoon activities. She said I was being childish, that I was embarrassing her in front of people she needed to impress, that everyone was asking where I went and she had to make excuses. I told her I was tired. She rolled her eyes and left to get ready for dinner. Not once did she ask if I was okay. Not once did she apologize. She just made it about her, about how my feelings were inconveniencing her brand. While she was in the shower, I opened my laptop and looked at flights. There was a red-eye leaving Maui at 5 the next morning. I stared at that flight for probably 30 minutes, my cursor hovering over the purchase button. Part of me thought this was insane, that I was overreacting. That relationships go through rough patches and you work through them. You don't just leave in the middle of the night like a coward. But another part of me, the part that had been getting quieter and smaller over the past year and a half, was screaming that this was not a rough patch. This was a pattern. This was who we had become. Her needing an audience for everything, even her relationship, me shrinking into the background, holding the camera, keeping quiet, pretending it didn't bother me. I clicked purchase. The confirmation email hit my inbox. There was no going back now. Then I started packing my bag quietly while she was doing her makeup in the bathroom, folding my clothes, unplugging my laptop charger, moving like a ghost through a room that suddenly felt like it belonged to someone else's life. She left for dinner around 8 without asking if I wanted to come, did not even look back when the door closed. The sound of her heels clicking down the hallway, getting quieter, then gone. The door clicked shut, and I just sat there on the edge of the bed, feeling like the biggest coward in the world. But I also felt something else. Relief. Like a pressure valve had finally released. Like I had been holding my breath for 18 months and only now remembered how to exhale. I set my phone alarm for 3:30 in the morning, lay down fully clothed on top of the covers, stared at the ceiling. Did not sleep. When the alarm went off, I got up in the dark, grabbed my bag, and stood at the door for a minute, looking back at the room, at her stuff scattered everywhere, her ring light set up by the window, her outfits laid out for tomorrow's shoot, evidence of a life I was no longer part of. I almost left without saying anything, but that felt cruel in a different way. So I wrote a note on the resort stationery. You wanted me to go home, I am just listening. I left it on the nightstand next to her phone charger. Then I took an Uber to the airport, turned my phone off mid-flight, and tried to sleep. When I landed in San Diego and turned my phone back on, I had 63 missed calls. Natalie's last message said, "You are ruining everything. Call me back now." I did not call back. I went home, unpacked, tried to figure out what next. That same night, someone from the group posted a video, 15 seconds of Natalie yelling, "If you are jealous, go home," with me walking away in the background. Caption, "When your boyfriend can't handle your success." It went viral. Millions of views in 48 hours, but the comments were not on her side. People asked why she would humiliate her partner publicly. Her followers dropped thousands daily. Brands pulled deals. The travel company suspended her partnership. I did not post anything, just untagged myself from her photos and went dark. Then 2 days later, I posted one sunset photo. Caption, "Respect is quiet, disrespect is loud." That post got more engagement than anything I had shared. My followers doubled in 5 days. Strangers sent support. People said they understood and that I did the right thing. Now, 6 weeks later, I'm watching Natalie lose sponsorships, move back home, watching her public persona crumble. And I can't shake the feeling that maybe I overreacted. Maybe if I had stayed and talked like an adult, none of this would have happened. Did I do the right thing? Or did I let the internet destroy her for me? Update 1. It has been 2.5 weeks since Maui. Things have gotten messier, and I'm understanding how deep this goes. After I posted that sunset photo, my DMs exploded. Brands I worked with years ago reached out. One outdoor gear company wanted a campaign around quiet confidence. For 3 years, I was invisible in Natalie's content. Now, people saw me as my own person. Meanwhile, Natalie's world collapsed faster than I realized. The travel brand terminated her partnership completely and asked for repayment of trip costs because she violated a professionalism clause. One of the other influencers told me this privately. That person also sent screenshots of a group chat from the night I left. Natalie was trashing me, saying I was insecure, that I had baggage from my past that made me too sensitive, that she was tired of babysitting my feelings. Chase replied with laughing emojis, but one of the female influencers called her out, said what Natalie did was cruel, that she would be mortified if her partner left mid-trip. Natalie said, "He'll get over it." They also said Natalie had been flirting heavily with Chase the entire trip, even before the sunscreen incident. That confirmed something I had been trying to ignore for months. I was not just an accessory, I was a placeholder until someone better came along. The beach video kept spreading, TikTok to Twitter to Instagram Reels. Someone made a reaction video that got picked up by commentary channels. Comments were ruthless. A hashtag trended for 2 days about boundaries and walking away from disrespect. Then Chase posted a statement defending Natalie, a long Instagram story about how the video was out of context. Within hours, someone leaked their DMs, flirty messages, inside jokes, one from her the day after I left. At least now I don't have to pretend anymore. When I saw those screenshots, I felt sick, not heartbroken, but realizing how long I had made excuses for her. Natalie posted an apology video, crying, no makeup, on her bed, talking about mistakes and public pressure. People saw through it. Comments asked why she was apologizing to the internet instead of to me directly. She had not messaged me since that first night. No apology, no real conversation, just silence. Until 3 days ago. I was editing photos when my phone buzzed. A text from Natalie. "Can we talk, please? I'm staying at my mom's in Sacramento. I just need to explain." I did not respond right away. Eventually, I replied, "I do not think talking will fix this." She called immediately. I let it ring. She called again, then sent a wall of text about her terrible mistake, about career pressure, about missing me. I did not block her, but I did not respond either. Days later, a journalist emailed me, writing about masculinity and emotional intelligence in modern relationships, wanted to interview me. I said yes. We talked for an hour about my firefighter background, about losing my friend in that fire and how it changed how I saw conflict, about rebuilding my life around something quieter, about realizing Natalie and I wanted different things. She asked if I regretted leaving. I said no, only that I did not leave sooner. The article came out yesterday, shared everywhere. People quoted me. I did not leave to punish her. I left because staying would have meant pretending I was okay with being treated like that, and I am done pretending. My phone has not stopped. More brand inquiries, podcast requests, gallery exhibitions. Life is moving forward in unexpected ways, but it feels strange, like being rewarded for self-preservation. Natalie's Instagram is a ghost town, lost over 100,000 followers, engagement nearly gone. Mutual friends say she is genuinely struggling, not just professionally, but mentally. She broke down at her mom's last week, stopped posting. I do not feel good about that. I am not vindicated, just tired. Tired of being part of a story this public when I just wanted to move on quietly. But I know I made the right choice. For the first time in 3 years, I can breathe. Update 2. 2 weeks ago, Natalie showed up at my studio unannounced. I was editing when I heard knocking. When I opened the door, there she was. Nothing like her polished self. No makeup, hair pulled back, dark circles, hoodie and jeans. She looked small. She said, "Please, just give me 10 minutes." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to close the door, but I could not, so I let her in. She sat on the couch, hands shaking, and started talking. Lost everything. Brand deals, sponsorships, even her LA apartment because she couldn't afford rent. Most influencer friends stopped calling because associating with her was bad for their brands. Even her family struggled to understand. Her mom kept asking why she would humiliate someone she loved in front of strangers. I let her talk. Then she said, "Everyone thinks I'm this shallow, mean person now, and maybe I am. I don't even know anymore." I finally spoke. "You are not shallow, Natalie. You were just addicted to applause. You forgot what it feels like to sit in silence and be okay with who you are when no one is watching." She started crying. Real, ugly crying. Not the performed kind she did in her apology video. Not the kind with perfect lighting and carefully placed tears. This was raw, shoulders shaking, face in her hands. The kind of crying that comes from something breaking inside. She said, "I just wanted you to fight for me. I wanted you to care enough to get jealous, to make a scene, to prove that I mattered to you, to show everyone that you wanted me." And that's when I realized how fundamentally we misunderstood each other, how completely we had been speaking different languages for 3 years. I told her, "I did not need to fight for you, Natalie. You were already mine. But you wanted me to perform for you.
to compete for your attention like it was a prize to be won, to put on a show for your followers and your friends and prove my worth in front of an audience. That is not love. That is a transaction. That is content.
She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her hoodie, looked at me with this expression I had never seen before, something like recognition, like she was seeing me, actually seeing me for the first time in months, maybe years. She said quietly, "I did not know that is what I was doing. I do not know who I am when people are not watching anymore. When there is no camera, no comments, no validation, I do not know how to just be." I said, "I know. That is why I had to leave, because I was disappearing trying to help you figure that out, and I could not save both of us." She looked at me for a long time, and then she said, "You never posted anything hateful about me. You could have destroyed me. Why did you not?" I said, "Because you did that all by yourself." It was harsh. I know it was harsh, but it was also true. She sat there for a minute, staring at her hands, and then she stood up. Before she left, she said, "I really did love you. I just did not know how to do it right." I told her, "I know." She walked out, and I have not heard from her since. A few days after that conversation, someone from Maui posted something new, a behind-the-scenes TikTok. Caption, "The guy who actually left when she told him to go home." A montage of moments from the trip. Me sitting quietly, me editing while they partied, the beach scene, me walking away. It went viral, over 2 million views in 3 days. But the tone was different. Instead of mocking Natalie, people used it as an example of emotional maturity. Comments said, "This is what boundaries look like." Another, "He did not need to argue, he just left. That is real strength." It evolved into a cultural moment. People started using go home energy to describe walking away from disrespect instead of begging to be valued. My sunset photo became motivational graphics. Then a podcast emailed, a legitimate one, about modern relationships and emotional intelligence. They wanted me to talk about boundaries, about walking away, about redefining what it means to fight for a relationship. I said yes. The episode aired last week. We talked about my firefighter background, about how losing someone I cared about taught me that not every situation can be saved by staying and fighting, that sometimes the bravest thing is recognizing when something is beyond repair and walking away before it destroys you. We discussed Natalie too, not vindictively. I made clear I did not think she was a bad person, just someone who got lost in social media validation, who stopped seeing people as people and started seeing them as supporting characters. The host asked if I forgave her. I said I did, but forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. It means I'm not carrying it anymore. The episode blew up, shared thousands of times. People sent messages saying it helped them leave toxic situations, that it gave them permission to stop fighting for relationships that only drained them. My photography career transformed. Galleries reaching out, magazines featuring my work. I started leading workshops for small groups of trauma survivors or people recovering from difficult relationships who want to use photography to process what they've been through. It has become the most meaningful work I have done. Days ago, I got a message from one of the Maui influencers, the woman who called Natalie out in the group chat. She wanted to apologize for not speaking up more publicly. Watching everything unfold made her rethink her own relationship with social media and validation. She took a 3-month break from posting and realized how much self-worth was tied to numbers on a screen. She said Natalie reached out recently, that Natalie was thinking about stepping away from influencer work entirely, going back to school or doing something behind the scenes, something that did not require performing her life for strangers. I don't know if that's true or just another narrative, but I hope it's real. I hope she finds a way to be okay when no one is watching, because that's the only way any of us heal. I'm in a good place now, better than I've been in years. Not angry, not bitter, just aware.
aware that I spent 3 years trying to be enough for someone who was never going to be satisfied because she did not know how to be satisfied with herself. Someone asked in the podcast if I would ever take her back if she changed. I said no. Not because I don't believe people can change, but because I've changed too, and the person I am now knows what he deserves.
Final update. My life looks completely different. Photography became full-time work. Prints in 3 galleries across California. Published a series called Still Water, focusing on quiet, reflective landscapes images that make you stop and breathe. It has done really well. The workshops grew too, working with a non-profit that connects trauma survivors with creative outlets, weekend retreats where people learn photography to process grief, loss, anger, the most fulfilling thing I have been part of. Some participants became genuine friends. I have not spoken to Natalie in 10 months, but I know where she ended up, and it is not what I expected. She moved back to her hometown, went quiet for 6 or 7 months, then re-emerged doing something completely different. Started a small creative agency, not influencer work. She helps nonprofits and community organizations tell their stories, social media strategy, content creation, but focusing on amplifying voices that need to be heard, not chasing engagement. I found out because someone I know works with one of the organizations she helps. They said she is good at it, thoughtful and collaborative, does not make everything about herself. They had no idea about her past or Maui. To them, she's just someone who knows how to build a story and get people to care. A few weeks ago, I got a message from her. I saw your Still Water series at a gallery in Sacramento. It is beautiful. I finally understand what peace looks like. I sat with it for days, then wrote back, peace is not something you find, it is something you stop running from. She did not reply, but I think she got it. I've been seeing someone new for a few months. Her name is Amy. She's a park ranger. We met when I was shooting at Torrey Pines and she was leading a guided walk. She is the opposite of everything I experienced with Natalie. Grounded, present, does not care about followers or branding or performing for an audience. When we are together, we just exist. We hike, cook, sit on her porch and watch the sun go down without documenting it. The first time she asked about Natalie, I told her the short version. She listened, nodded, and said, "It sounds like you both needed to let go of each other to become who you were supposed to be." That was it. No drama, just understanding. Last weekend, I drove to the coast at sunset, set up my camera facing the ocean. The tide was low, the sky painted gold and amber. I clicked the shutter and stood there, watching the water. I thought about that day on the beach in Maui, the moment Natalie told me to go home, the moment I decided to listen. For 3 years, I had been trying to make myself smaller to fit into her world, trying to be supportive enough, invisible enough, useful enough. I thought love meant sacrifice. Maybe sometimes it does, but not the kind where you lose yourself. She told me to go home. So I did. And for the first time in a long time, I actually am home. Not a place, just a version of myself I can live with. One that does not need external validation to know its worth. One that understands respect is not something you beg for, it is something you require. And if someone cannot give it, the healthiest thing you can do is walk away. I do not regret leaving. I do not regret the fallout. I don't even regret the 3 years together, because they taught me what I will never accept.